Well, joining me live now is Dana Arschin. She's the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor and a Holocaust storyteller for the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County in New York State. Great to have you on with us. I understand your grandfather lived to be about 101 years old. Did he tell you anything about what he experienced? I mean, these aren't obviously easy memories to share.
Hi, Carl. Thank you so much. And thank you to BBC. This is the second year in a row that you guys have had me on January 27th. And it means so much to me that I can share my Poppy's story. So yes, my grandfather passed away last year, just almost exactly a year ago, just shy of his 102nd birthday.
Wow.
And this day is so significant to me and my family because it is the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, and he was an Auschwitz survivor. He spoke to me about what he went through because I was the only one who had the guts to ask him. I know his whole story inside and out. Both of his parents and 5 of his siblings were murdered. He spent 2 years doing hard labor in Auschwitz. He was in other work camps where he had such a close call with death. He once dug his own grave and somebody next to him passed out and they shot that guy, threw him in my Poppy's grave and said, "Isn't today your lucky day?" He watched, I think it was 18 prisoners get hanged in front of him. And if anyone looked away, they were killed. I mean, story after story. And I just feel like it's my obligation to keep his story alive. And that's what I do as a storyteller.
Yeah, we were seeing some photos there of the two of you together. You mentioned that you were the only one who was brave enough to ask him about this kind of thing. Why do you think that is? What makes this? I mean, obviously, it's a difficult topic to discuss, and there are families, obviously, that won't talk about it.
You know, I don't know if it's that I'm brave to ask him, but I just understand that I wouldn't be here if it weren't for him, and that there's no way these stories will live on if not for people like me who are asking the questions and sharing them with an audience. I do want to give a mention to HMTC. That's the nickname for the Holocaust Museum that I work for, and we educate people all across New York where we are. We bring Holocaust survivors and speakers into classrooms, into auditoriums, because we feel that there aren't going to be many survivors left. You know, the survivors are hitting 100 and beyond, and this is our last time to hear from these firsthand accounts. And that's why we need to be the witnesses when we no longer have witnesses left.
Yeah, we saw there, in the piece as well, this could be one of the last big commemorations where we see survivors of Auschwitz able to attend. They're getting old. I mean, talk to me about the way that you're working to preserve their memories.
Yeah, and you make an interesting point because the camp survivors are our oldest survivors, because when you arrived at Auschwitz or another concentration camp, those who were old enough and fit enough to work were selected to work. But a lot of women and children were killed immediately and sent to the gas chambers. And so those survivors who were fit enough to work were anywhere from maybe 17 to 25, maybe 30. So they're all really hitting 100 and they're not going to be here for much longer. The ones who are young are in their 80s, and that's considered our youngest survivors. And they were children in hiding, or they were on a kinder transport, a children's transport where they were saved. So, there's so many different stories. And that's why in terms of these camp survivors, you're absolutely right. We're not going to have many more Auschwitz survivors here for much longer. So it is so important that we have these commemoration ceremonies so that the lessons of the Holocaust are never forgotten.
There's a recent study, and this is kind of shocking. It shows a third of young adults, at least in the United Kingdom, can't name Auschwitz or any of the other concentration camps. What do you make of that, and what would be the best way to change that?
Yeah, it's incredibly sad, and it's not surprising because you could see the rampant rise of anti-Semitism all across the globe. All we can do is educate one person at a time. And that's what you and I are doing today by having me on and giving me the chance to talk about my Poppy and his firsthand experience. What we are trying to do is show people that our center, for instance, is not just about anti-Semitism, but about fighting injustice and intolerance of all forms, bullying, racism. And we believe once people just become more accepting in general, then they are more open to learning about the Holocaust and about these other horrors. And all we can do right now is try to educate one student at a time. That's our only option, and we're trying really hard.
We often hear this refrain, never again when it comes to the Holocaust. Do you think the world is still doing enough at this point, given how many years have gone by to prevent another genocide from taking place?
We all say no, not enough is happening, but, we hear some really loud voices, but they don't always represent the majority when we hear these, terrible acts of hate. The fact that you have us on, the fact that they have these commemoration ceremonies. I spoke on countless news programs today. I spoke at a huge Supreme Court here in New York today. I'm being invited because people do want to hear these stories. So I try to be hopeful that there are a lot of people out there who want to learn, who are good people, who want to know the lessons, and who want to make sure future generations never forget. So, I'm hopeful. I don't want to say that not enough is being done. Enough can always be done. More can always be done, but we're trying. And I do feel the fact, again, that even a platform like BBC having us here, the beautiful intro that you did about the commemoration shows that these stories do want to be told and that there is an audience for them.
Dana Arschin, one of the people telling those stories. You're a storyteller for the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center of Nassau County, and of course, a granddaughter as well of a Holocaust survivor. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.